Welcome everyone. The topic for the day is application and outcome of emotional quotient at work level. This is what we are interested to decipher today. So basically, what are the applications? How do we behave? How do we promote our emotional beings, control them, and present in a positive fashion in our professional lives together? Or which we will be talking around it. Remember, just a brief introduction as relation to IQ, which is intelligence quotients, as relations to emotional quotients or EQ, and EI, overall emotional intelligence. That is the factual things that I would like to present before we move. So, what are emotions? Anything, any of your exhibited behaviors which is based on a state of your mind, namely happiness, fear, anger, affection, shame, disgust, surprise, lust, sadness, elation, love, frustration, anxiety, failure, achievement are many of the emotions or the behavior that we actually exhibit. The above are emotions which are directly affect our day-to-day life. This is what we want to go around it. There are two dimensions. What are they? They are physiological sides and psychological side. Remember, this is what we are looking into it. Physiological sides are your exhibitions of your behavior involving the bodily change of the widespread characters such as breathing, pounding of heart, flushed face, sweating palms, pulse rate, gland secretion, whereas the psychological state refers to the excitement and perturbation marked by strong, extremely strong feeling of anger, feeling of love, whatever you want to go around it. So emotions and their blends. Let me give it to you as a little bit variations of degrees of emotion that people would be experiencing. Remember, under anger comes fury, outrage, resentment, annoyance, hostility. Within the ambit of love comes acceptance, friendliness, trust, kindness, infatuation. What I am stressing about it, it is one predominant emotions and the various degrees that we exhibit around it. Let's speak about shame. People would feel like guilt, people would be making a remorse, people will be feeling humiliated, or they might be regretting their decisions or their behaviors outright. Similarly, for fear would be anxiety, nervousness, apprehension, terror. Enjoyment would come under as happiness, joy, relief, contentment, pleasure. Now, what I'm talking about in terms of sadness, the variation of the degrees would be grief, sorrow, cheerlessness, gloom. Under surprise would be shock, astonishment, amazement, wonder. Now, what I am trying to present to you people is basically what is the various degree that comes around it, which needs to be controlled at certain point of time. Doesn't make sense to exhibit it at an extreme level. Remember, I'll just give you with certain examples for you to understand. Let's say she is too sensitive. He takes everything of too personally. That is what we are looking into it. Then comes he is jealous of his colleagues. My boss is always in a hostile mood. She does not understand the feeling of others. The HOD blurts out things without thinking or considering about others. He is always nagging. Nobody understands or listens to me. The management is way out of touch with the employees' emotions. Why does it happen with me only in life? I am always nice with people around me, but people are the other way around. So these are the statements that you must have often faced or seen in your daily life, or probably you must have experienced it. These thoughts might have crisscrossed your mind altogether. So that is what we are referring to, the various emotions, the various experiences in a day to day existence. So, what exactly is emotional quotient? Emotional intelligence or emotional quotient is simply defined as knowing your emotions and knowing the emotions of the others. Your and others is what we are looking into it. Knowing what feels good, what feels bad, and how to get from bad to good, how to move from negative to positive. This is what we are looking into it. It refers to the emotional management skills which provides competence to balance emotion, reason so as to maximize a long-term happiness, having a contentment, having a sense of fulfillment. That is what we are looking exactly as emotional quotient, as an emotional intelligence. What does Daniel Goleman said in 1998, way back in 1998, approximately 24 years from today? The capacity for recognizing our very own feelings and those of others, for motivating ourselves, and probably for managing the emotions well in ourselves and in our relationship. Emotional intelligence describes the abilities distinct but complementary to the academic intelligence. Remember, academic intelligence is your intelligence, is your knowledge that comes around it. Emotional intelligence is the way you control your emotions about yourself and the others, about your compatriot, about your peers, about your superiors, and probably direct the energies to have a fruitful relationship, mutually beneficial one at. So IQ vis-a-vis EQ, intelligent quotient versus emotional quotient. Research shows us that IQ can help to be successful to the extent of only 20%. Remember, this is what we are talking about it, but 80% of the time, if we are successful, if we are good, it means we have a viable and vibrant emotional quotient. So 80% of the time, success depends on your emotional quotient. Knowledge, intelligence probably takes you only far till 20 odd percent of the time. So see the probability, which is more important. You need to find. So, what exactly is success? Is it your IQ? Success, is it your IQ? For example, being qualifying for an examination, competition, cleared, percentage of marks in schools, colleges, academic qualification. Is this what you want to say about it? Or earning a fat salary, top position in a workforce, being rich, being wealthy, being powerful, being dominating, being influential is the overall parameters of success if you want to. Remember, success might be something else. The word success might be a relative term. What is success to you might not be the same as success to me. Living a healthy and happy married life may be an indicator of success at home for some, and for many, which is, I believe, a valid thing and a must thing. Reaching in the top position in a career may be an indicator of success for others that comes around it, which needs to be understood all the way around. For some, having a satisfying job life or a personal satisfaction may be an indicator of success. Remember, what I've been equating success with is happiness, so contentment. People are happy with money, people are happy with wonderful family, people are happy with a decent position in the society, and so on and so forth. Remember, only tangible achievements may not only be an indicator. Tangible achievements be is your property, is your car, is your automobile, is your bank balance, and so on and so forth. Many a times, non-tangible performances or achievement may be termed as successful. For example, your reputation that you build upon it. A glorified example is this: what I've been mentioned out here is IQ. It can get you hired. The knowledge can get you hired, but it is EQ which will make you stay in the job. Not only stay in the job, get you promoted. This is what the professional success mantra is all about. It so gets you hired, gets you promoted. What is which needs to be importantly denoted out here. This is what we are looking time and again. So, what experts say, psychologists, psychiatrists, management consultants, medical doctors have been proving that there are personal characteristics called emotional intelligence, which are responsible for the ways how we behave, how we feel, how we relate to others, how well we do at our job, and how healthy we are. This is what we are looking into it time and again. This is something which should be always taken into consideration. Psychologist, psychiatrist, management consultant says what? It is your emotional intelligence which is responsible for your behaviors, which I have been trying to tell it to you. Your behavior is a manifestation of your feeling. Feeling is again a manifestation of your thought. How do you perceive yourself as to altogether? Look at the pic that I have showed it to you. A person might be occupying this position, but might be thinking him to be a big, larger than life position, pivotal to the organization, important. So, emotional intelligence tendencies can result in being uncomfortable with other people, not been happy with your jobs, not succeeding at your job, or even being physically or psychologically unhealthy, unwell, with stress related problem, or not having satisfying interpersonal relationship. This is what we are looking at it at times every. So it is all in your head as far as IQ is concerned, but it is all in your heart as far as EQ is concerned. This is what I say would be the personality of a person altogether. Absolutely what has been said to you time and again, mentioned prominently. IQ rules your head, but EQ rules your heart. It's the way you behave, the way you think from your heart can takes you mile in your life, both personal and professional. So personality is all about emotional quotient. Remember, which I have been telling it to you. It is your feeling part. Feeling part is basically coming and there is an exchange, vibrant exchange between the thinking part. It's the manifestation of your thoughts, of your feelings. Is the exhibited behavior that we go around it. The whole rounded personality is what we are entailing into. Remember, the characteristics of high emotional quotient person would be it's a time to wait. They will be patient enough, time to watch, a time to be aggressive and a time to be passive. At times, they would let lose a war and probably absolutely let it go. There are times that where they will actually not even lose a battle. They will be aggressive and win or go on to win a number of battles on our own and established a reputation, whatever the reputation might be. So, a time to be together, a time to be alone is what we are looking into it. A time to fight, a time to love, a time to play. So, what I'm trying to tell it to you is in a segregation that comes around it. This is what is most importantly to be understood by a high EQ person or a person who is super successful. A time to cry, a time to love, a time to confront, a time to withdraw, a time to speak, a time to be silent, a time to be patient, and a time to decide upon it, act upon it. So you have absolutely 180-degree oppositions of various emotions, feelings, and behavior that has been exhibited by a hugely successful emotional quotient person. But on the other hand, what is the characteristics of low EQ? If only I had a different job, if only I had finished my graduation, if only I had been handsome or beautiful, if only my spouse had stopped drinking. Now, what I'm trying to say is they are always lost in a thought as an ifs and buts between. It's not the reality that they are facing. They are having an hypothetical situation in their mind and blaming either on the other self or on the circumstances, keeping themselves pristine and pure as if they are the victim of the situation. These are the statement. If it crisscrosses your mind, probably this is what a low EQ person will always be thinking. If only you had a better friend, if only I had married someone else, and so forth. So, two viewpoint of EQs, what they tell us about it. Traditional says they distract us, but high performers says they motivate us. Traditional says they increase our vulnerability, as in feeling and all. It says it increases our confidences because you went out your feeling and then probably you can realize your own self. Traditionalists say they cloud your judgment because you're thinking from your heart and not thinking from the mind. High performers saying they actually speed up our analysis, thinks about the consequential, eventual consequences, weigh on the options, and then probably proceed. Inhibit free flow of data is what traditional says. It tells you about building trust as far as emotions of high performers are concerned. It gives exactly the vital feedback that is that is to be uh, that is required for the day. Traditional says that feelings must be controlled, emotional quotient must be controlled. In fact, emotional the high performer says no, you just cannot dump your feelings or dump your emotional quotient, but you can manage them in a proactive fashion always and everywhere. So these are the two views that I am to presenting in front of my audiences. Remember, emotional skills a manager should learn about emotional competency, emotional maturity, and sensitivity. This is what we are looking every now and then. This is the fact that comes around everything. If you have the competency, if you do not have the maturity, if you are not sensitive enough, probably you will not be a very popular person and will not go far in life. So you, to be a successful person, competency, maturity and sensitivity with respect to emotional should be on a higher paradigm. So, emotional competency, let us understand one by one, is tackling upsets in your life. It's a high self-esteem handling. What we are looking at? It's a very high self-esteem that needs to be handled at one point of time. Handling egoism, it is what we are looking at it. If you are eh, being very self-centric and have the self-obsessed ideas about yourself, things might go wrong. Handling inferior complexity is one we're looking into it. So, emotional maturity is all about self awareness, developing others, delaying gratification, and adaptability and flexibility. It is all not having a knee jerk reaction. Probably you have a passage of time before you weigh on your options, l- check up with the adversities, and then give your reaction. That is what maturity is all about. It is being self aware, developing in others, delaying gratification, enjoying definitely, reacting definitely, pain definitely, but can we have it a little bit delayed responses, adaptability and flexibility. Comes the third option as emotional sensitivity. Understand the threshold of emotional arousal, being empathetic towards the person, improving interpersonal relationship and communicability of emotion. This is what we are looking into it. Absolutely, this is what we are looking as far how sensitive, how pertinent the situation is about the person, about the others that we are looking at it. Think it from their own, not only from your own point of view, but from the others point of view. This will help you improve understanding the situation altogether, and enhance your interpersonal relationship. This is what exactly has been done. So the high managers or emotional quotient were low burnout, implying that they can cope up with better with stress. That is what a study on stress and burnout is about it. So let us understand what kind of professions requires what kind of EQ. For example, the cluster one, which is of extremely high emotional quotient require, let's say the artist, the insurance agent, the advertisement people, the social work people, and they are all working with human beings. Absolutely. And believe me or not, all human beings are completely different and they need to study it accordingly. They need to understand, be it the artist, be it the advertisement agent or the advertisers, be it the social media workers, the social media managers, be it the insurance people. Then is something where we put it in cluster two, which is high. Let's say people are in a controlled environment in terms of teaching, legal, tourism, politics, business, entrepreneurship, police, and everything. Now, what I'm trying to tell it to you here, they're again handling with people, but this time the people are captive audiences. A teacher would have a definite set of students, or legal would have, the lawyers would be having a definite set of clients. They have their objectives in mind, both the students and the teacher, the clients and the lawyer, be it the tour operator or the tourist out there. Everybody has an objective clearly defined. So what I'm trying to tell it to you here, unlike in the cluster one, which might not be very well defined, here everything is well defined. That is what I'm talking about, being a captive audiences. Let us come to the rest. Is all about average thing in terms of judiciary, administration, information technology, medicine, banking, engineering, accountancy. Herein, you have to have a legitimate understanding of emotional quotient, and probably you will succeed. So this is what we need to go about the different profession that comes around with different requirements of EQ. Some myths, some facts about emotional quotient. Emotional quotient does not mean weak. Remember, submissive, defensive of personality. Absolutely not. Being highly emotional quotient doesn't mean having an extra nice, being very polite, speaking very sweetly. The females are not either superior to the males in experiencing or expressing emotions, as most of us tends to believe incorrectly. In fact, everyone can do it. As far as emotional quotient are concerned, both male and female are equally balanced and equally endowed by the superior authority altogether. In fact, research shows that males are equally emotional when compared to female, as what I've said it right now. There is no different evidence to provide EQ is dependent upon heredity. This is one thing which I need to stress upon it. Emotional quotient can be cultivated. It cannot be in your gene. It is not a part of your DNA. It is the way you have been taught. It's your thought process that needs to be understood and probably needs to be tailored to handle this position respectively. So, however, the environment does not seem to influence myths. Is advocating emotional quotient does not mean that we are promoting low scorers or average IQ people. Having an average EQ is not a bad or undesirable in the first place. Remember, this is what we got. Stressing on emotional quotient doesn't mean that we are negating or we are absolutely promoting the average IQs or negating the high IQ people altogether. Having high IQ EQ is always welcome. We are not, absolutely not, what I have said about it negating the IQ. In fact, a combination of a high EQ and high IQ would be a ideal personality. It is a win-win situation. So, can it be developed? Yes. I strongly believe emotional quotient can be developed through upgradation of your emotional skill. Remember, emotional quotient is not to be inherited. Emotional quotient is not at all there or present at the time of your birth. There are nothing called intelligence genes as we know today, in our all the medical research that we have come across, all the psychological research that we have come across, emotional quotient is not part of any gene therapy that comes around it. It is something that one has to learn and pick. Can EQ be developed at any age of a personal or professional life? The answer is again yes. You can upgrade your skills of emotions at any part of your life, at any stage of your life, all ages, all maturities, positively correlated with emotion quotient. Same is not that true with IQ. With IQ, your memory capacity or mental ability, cognitive ability deteriorates. But with emotional quotient, you can always build it up. If you want to apply it, you can always build it up. Remember, this is very true, and emotional quotient can be applicable for your both and professional life. The essential question is EQ be measured? Can it be measured? Though some critics may argue that emotional traits cannot be measured accurately, psychologists have shown that emotional quotient can be, or emotional intelligence can be measured through scientific tools. So this is one thing which there is always a debate in which 50% of the party is of having a different, or should I say a divergent opinion as far as the measurement is concerned. So applying in business organizations, emotional quotient is your customer service at the time of hiring, at the time of turnover, at the turn of trading. Turnover might be you're losing of your jobs and things like that. So at the time of corporate culture, the productivity that we are talking about, the goal settings, the emotional supports, and the leadership. This is what we are talking around here. You have to speak every now and then in a definite fashion. In conclusion, what do I say? Is emotional quotient will make you comfortable in your own skin with your people who are around us, around you. You can understand what makes them compatible with certain people, with certain jobs, and ways to handle emotional difficulties with much ease. Definite specific feeling that causes stress can be mitigated at more peace if you are emotionally balanced. With this, I come to an end of this presentation. Thank you for watching this video.